Low temperature is going to be falling into the mid-60s for the overnight. Rain returns back to the forecast on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Live local shows.
Hello.
Live local play-by-play.
Oh, now's a good time to check the radio.
Plus, the power of ESPN Radio. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Hey, it is a special Saturday edition of Talking Ball live from University Kia. Right along University Drive, it is Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond hanging out with you until noon. We're going to get you ready for what will be another fantastic Saturday of college football at the home of the largest volume, best Kia dealership in the state of Alabama. They want to see you in a Kia. We want to see you in a Kia as well. A lot of great football coming up, and especially right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone coming up tonight at 6:30. You will have Alabama playing host to Vanderbilt inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Download the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app so you can have 97.7 ESPN The Zone at the power of your own hands, and you can listen to every minute of that action tonight with Chris Stewart beginning at 6:30 on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. All day long, you got college football underway. 11 a.m., Auburn gets ready to take on Missouri inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. A few minutes ago, Brian Harsin, Eli Drinkwitz, they're very, very, very familiar with each other. They shared a special moment down there on the field inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. Drew, we don't want to say dead man walking.
Loser leave town
For either of these coaches, but Bruce Feldman did report about 5 minutes ago, put out a story that said and kind of reveals how a loss today could expedite Brian Harsin's future in the Auburn Tiger coaching box.
He is done if he loses, period, end of story. He will not make it to the end of the season. I'm just, there's no other way around it. I just can't, emphasize that enough. It's why I tweeted earlier this week that it is a must-win situation for Brian Harsin today because you're playing against a team in Missouri that might be, the worst team in the SEC East, or at least on the short list. Right now it's South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Mizzou. We're trying to figure that out, but Auburn needs to win this game. It's the first time Missouri has ever come to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Missouri has not looked good, even in their wins against Louisiana Tech. They've been played okay. They played okay against the Abilene Christian last week, and they got smoked by Kansas State, who turned around and lost to Tulane. So this is a must-win game, no doubt, and it's going to be interesting because just a few minutes ago, Justin Hoganson, good friend of the show from Auburn Live on 3, tweeted this out about the people that will be starting the show for Auburn. He confirmed it, what we already basically knew, that Robbie Ashford would be the QB for the Auburn Tigers. They're going to make some other changes as well, no question about that. They're going to McCoy Moore is going to start for the Auburn Tigers as well. He's going to start for Malcolm Johnson. And they're going to make some changes on defense too. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how this game goes today. Because again, I just think it's huge that they have to get a win, no question about it. And it's going to be. I want to see the style of offense too with Robbie Ashford at quarterback. Did they tweak some things? Are they going to run more zone read style of offense? Because Robbie Ashford, is a very mobile guy. Are they going to do some RPOs? To try to get the ball to these wide receivers. Right. The way they attack Missouri is going to be interesting. And Missouri, since Elijah Drinkwitz got there, has struggled on defense big time.
Well, one thing that we did not get to talk about in the last 48 hours is that T.J. Finley's father, David Finley, was on the Locked On Auburn podcast on Thursday morning. We did not get to talk about this Thursday or Friday, but he discussed his son's shoulder injury and the quarterback situation at Auburn and how it's been handled, and he was very candid. He did not mention any coaches by name, but he did criticize the way that Auburn has handled the quarterback situation by saying neither quarterback, Finley or Ashford, has been able to get into any rhythm. He says whether or not they want to admit it or not, I feel it has affected both of them. That's the point. I don't think TJ's been able to really settle in, get a full game behind him. A quarterback looking over your shoulder, I don't care if you're a manager at your job and going from a director's position and you get another manager going for it with you, you're looking over your shoulder. You need to be embraced as QB1 so you're not looking over your shoulder and I'm going to ride with you. That was T.J. Finley's father on Thursday criticizing the way Auburn has handled the quarterback situation. Now, T.J. Finley is out with a shoulder injury, but is it going to be the same, do you think? We're going to see Robbie Ashford and the freshman, Holden Grenier, kind of rotating a little bit, neither one of them able to get into a rhythm?
We'll see. I mean, I would think they're going to go with Ashford and see how effective he is. If things start to go south and they, and they have a big deficit, he's not the greatest passer in the world. So, but you wonder how much of the offense Holden Garner knows. I mean, he's a true freshman who I think they wanted to redshirt. So that would probably be the worst case scenario here if he has to play.
Is the 4-game redshirt still in effect?
Yes.
Can you still do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's good news for Auburn there. They could put him in 4 games. If Finley's able to work his way back, they could still keep that red shirt for the freshman quarterback. T.J. Finley is dressed out. We can let you know that he is dressed out, but he is not going through warm-ups. That is exactly what we expected. So that game gets underway at 11 a.m., and we'll update you throughout our show as we're going to take you till noon. The other big news, and this just happened on College Game Day a few minutes ago, and that is Tennessee wide receiver Cedric Tillman is going to be out today against the Florida Gators. Will not play. They are hoping, and there's optimism that they can get him back for the October 8th game at LSU.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be out. That'll be big. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the SEC. They had kind of kept that under wraps and then said he should be okay after he caught 2 passes for 16 yards last week in that 63-6 win over Akron. But now it looks like that Cedric Tillman will be out for Tennessee. But they feel like with Brew McCoy, the transfer that's gotten cleared from USC, that they've got some more depth at the wide receiver spot. So we'll see what happens. No doubt about that. And so, I think also they feel like with they have complete trust in their quarterback, Hendon Hooker, who I'm very high on. I mean, since he's become the starting quarterback last year for Tennessee, he's done an outstanding job of protecting the football, and I think they believe that he's still got enough weapons around him to be effective today. And certainly it's going to be very interesting to see, where the targets go and see if Brew McCoy perhaps has his biggest game as a Tennessee Vol. And, last week Jalen Hyatt had a big game, and so he's going to be a guy that I think they're going to target a lot. And the junior from Irmo, South Carolina, Hyatt had 5 catches for 166 and 2 touchdowns last week. And so Brew McCoy only had 1 catch. I would think that's going to change today, no doubt about it. Of course, as we know, they were playing against Akron, an overmatched squad, so they were probably working on some things. But I would think Jalen Hyatt would be a big part of this, and I would think, that they would want to run the football too. Hopefully Jabari Small is going to be healthier because I know he's been banged up some. They got a big game last week too from Jalen Wright, the sophomore running back from Durham, North Carolina. So Tennessee does seem to have more weapons in their arsenal this year, and so even with Tillman being out against Florida, I mean, with the way that Anthony Richardson's played and his tendency to turn the ball over. The thing, if I'm Tennessee, if I'm Tim Banks, I'm selling out. I'm loading the box with 8-9 guys, and you got to stop the run. If you can stop the run and put them in obvious passing situations, to me, Florida's going to struggle with that. And if you're Florida, you've got to find a way to control the ball, keep it away from Tennessee, and run the football. And so far, even with the turnovers, and, they've been able to run the football. They ran the football well against Utah. They certainly, at times ran it well against Kentucky, and then they ran it well last week. So that's going to be the key: line of scrimmage, turnovers, and trying to, control the clock if you're the Gators.
Are you shocked at all that we are headed into, I guess you could say, week? Let's get this right. Week 4 for the Tennessee Volunteers. Are you shocked? Well, I should say it's week 4 for the Florida Gators as well. Are you shocked when we say that Anthony Richardson has 0 touchdown passes this season so far, 4 games into the year?
I mean, certainly that's a little bit surprising. I mean, that's not something you expected. I knew he was more of a runner than a passer, but you would think that they would be able to spread the ball out, throw it around a little bit, especially against South Florida. But they've just totally struggled. They've become a run-heavy football team. But again, Anthony Richardson struggling from the neck up. He had a nice game against Utah, even though he didn't throw a touchdown pass. But again, I think he rushed for 100 yards, made some plays with his legs. The Florida defense scored last week against USF, and honestly, they're probably going to have to do that this week. They're going to have to find a way to force Hendon Hooker into some mistakes. But when you look at Hendon Hooker and his time with the Tennessee Volunteers, he has done a remarkable job, no matter who they've played, at protecting the football and not throwing interceptions, using his mobility and athleticism. Where Tennessee has had the issues is defensively. Now, here's the thing that Florida can hang their hat on. If you go back and look at their game at Pitt ran the ball really effectively. And until Slovis got hurt, they also threw it. So we don't really know how much improved this Tennessee defense is because, again, I don't give them a whole lot of credit for Ball State and Akron. They're going to crush those two teams. They did beat Pitt. That's a big win for Tennessee. Now they've got Florida at home. Florida's won 16 out of 17. Let's see how they play.
In case you are wondering, right now Mississippi State leads the SEC in touchdown passes this season at 10. Tulsa, by the way, leads the country in touchdown passes along with Ohio State. Both of those schools have 12. Oklahoma State in there as well. North Carolina, Coastal Carolina have 11. We mentioned Anthony Richardson, 0 for the Florida Gators. South Carolina not too far behind that. South Carolina has only thrown 3 touchdown passes this season. So Spencer Rattler, the thought there was he was going to come in, electrify that South Carolina offense. So far, that South Carolina offense has yet to get going this season. Kentucky has only thrown 6 touchdown passes this year as well. So that's a disparity in the numbers there as far as the SEC goes. You got the top, you got the bottom. You just want to be somewhere in the middle if you're the rest of the conference, and most of them are right along in that middle. But those are the top and the bottom numbers.
No question about it. And we also wanted to say, too, about Auburn. I mentioned already, and you, of course, we started the show with, Scott, was Robbie Ashford, of course, going to be the QB, and then will Holden Garner play for the Auburn Tigers. Coy Moore, as I said, will start in place of Malcolm Johnson. And the Oregon transfer, DJ James, is going to be in place of Jalen Simpson. And James played really well last week. I think he was one of the highlights for Auburn against Penn State. And they're making a change at safety as well. Caden Bridges, who had a really good fall camp, who they were very high on, he will replace the Vanderbilt transfer, Donovan Kaufman, in the starting lineup. So as we said, making some changes offensively, making some changes defensively, and we'll see if Auburn can start fast. They need to start fast today. As we said, this game will kick off during our show. They need to jump on Missouri early and get Robbie Ashford in a rhythm, get him some confidence. And really, here's the thing we haven't mentioned yet this morning. This Auburn defense has got to force a turnover. My Lord.
Yes.
They have. That's probably.
Are you more shocked by
I was going to say that than Anthony Richardson.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Now, Alabama's only forced 1, but they scored on it last week against Louisiana Monroe. But Auburn has forced 0. And they nearly did on that big hit from that Owen Papo had on the QB last week, for Penn State. We talked about that ad nauseum, but they weren't able to recover the fumble. It went out of bounds. And so Sean Clifford and Penn State continued to control that football game. But again, Auburn has to force Missouri into some mistakes. And their defense has not done that so far. And I've been surprised by that. I was surprised, not so much about Auburn's offensive struggles at times against Penn State, but that their defense got manhandled the way they did.
All right, 256-576-4977. You are more than welcome to join this special Saturday show as we are live from University Kia along University Drive, the #1 volume Kia, largest volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Heck, they're just flat out the best Kia dealership in the state of Alabama. Let's just cut it all how it's supposed to be. Turnover margin, by the way, Southern California, USC, they lead the country in turnover margin at 10, followed by your best SEC team right now as far as turnover margin goes is LSU. They are a 3. So Brian Kelly's LSU squad, or Georgia, my bad. Georgia's in there at 6. The Georgia Bulldog defense is a +6 in turnover margin. They have really gotten after it. But as we've said South Carolina is their toughest opponent that they have faced this year, probably. I mean, no disrespect to Oregon, but
I think Oregon's better than South Carolina. Oregon got a big win over BYU. I got to give Oregon credit for that. That's why I said, okay, now I'll say it. Georgia's the best team in the country right now. They beat the Ducks like a yard dog, 49-3. The Ducks beat a BYU team that we saw beat a ranked Baylor team. So Georgia's the best team. South Carolina, I can't give them a whole lot of credit for that. I'll give them credit for destroying them, but South Carolina to me is not very good. You just put Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt in a hat and just draw them out now.
The Georgia Bulldogs have Kent State today at 11 a.m. They are a 45-point
Rest
favorite.
in peace, bruh. Or what did Arnold Schwarzenegger say years ago? Or go home in pieces, or whatever the hell he said.
I can't remember that one.
I know.
You've lost me on that one.
I don't know. Maybe it was a Terminator movie. I don't know. Or The Eraser.
The Eraser. I erased that movie from my memory. I don't even pay attention to that one.
Well, I hadn't been to a dang movie in years, so I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
I'm waiting for Top Gun to come out so I can rent it, not buy it on digital.
So you can just pay for it on digital.
Yes. I don't want to spend $29
Here's the
to buy
thing, though. I'll be honest with you. Because it's been so dang long, probably 25 or 30 years.
Right.
I'd probably go back and watch the original Top Gun first, and then watch this version, just to refamiliarize myself with what went on.
Right.
Because you have memories, but you don't remember everything. And I think a lot of people did that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I know my cousin did. She did that on her birthday, and the night before, and then went and watched it, I think.
Hi, 256-576-4977. You can join.
Hopefully Auburn's not going to be erased, because I'm just telling you, if that happens, and when you were talking about Bruce Feldman and everything, that's not going to be good for Brian Harsin. But again...
No, okay, so the Brian Harsin, so Bruce Feldman did point this out, that if Auburn did choose to fire him at any point of the season, $15.3 million would be the buyout. They'd have to pay 50% of that within 60 days of his firing if Auburn ultimately decided to do something midway through the season. And here's the thing. They should beat Missouri. The ESPN FBI index gives Auburn the greatest chance to beat Missouri today. I believe it's like 70% or something like that in favor of Auburn. 72% ESPN is projecting Auburn to beat Missouri. It won't happen after today. But if the bottom ultimately falls out, if Auburn goes and just gets embarrassed by Georgia, it could happen at that point.
Yeah, and as you said, both T.J. Finley and Calzada trotted out or dressed, but Finley isn't even warming up at all, and Calzada wasn't even planning on dressing, but I guess he's an emergency quarterback. And
Trey Lindsey, they're saying.
Walk-on Trey Lindsey and walk-on Sawyer Pate. Sawyer Pate is from Thompson High School, but those are the two guys that are your third and fourth quarterbacks. Well, I'm just saying, hopefully everybody's going to stay healthy. Hopefully, Robbie Ashford's going to play well, because if this goes bad, if we're getting down to Sawyer Pate, this is one of those horrifically bad situations where things have really gone off the rails, and we probably would have a change by Sunday.
Do you give him a pass though? If this isn't, you can't control injuries.
No, you can't. But I'm just saying, no matter what, even if it was injuries or I would say that if Robbie's just struggling, it would be Garner. Right. They would go with the scholarship dude.
Right.
But even if it's injuries and you're having to get down to these other QBs, the Penn State game's already happened. You've already got the water under the bridge from last year. No matter what, even if you got walk-ons playing quarterback, it just means that something has gone wrong, and Auburn's losing this game more than likely, and Brian Harson's done. Now, by some miracle, if they run the ball really well, which is possible, and even if there was an injury to this position and they got really conservative with their game plan and they ran the ball 75% of the time and they won the game, it's one of the all-timers if you've had to use a walk-on. I'll never forget when Alabama had some injuries at the quarterback position, and he was a scholarship player, but Brandon Avalos, ended up starting against Southern Mississippi, and I think Alabama threw 2 passes and still won the game, and by multiple touchdowns. They just ran the football the whole game. We're very conservative. That's what Auburn would have to do, I would think, in this situation. But again, I still expect them to be run heavy. I just wonder how they're going to attack Missouri with Robbie Ashford, who's a dynamic runner. Can you design enough with RPOs, with quick screens and things of that nature to generate a passing game to where they have to back off and where they have to lighten the box enough to where you can run it effectively? That's what I want to see.
All right, 10:25 here on a Saturday morning. We're live from University Kia. Let's take a quick break, because when we come back, going to continue the college football talk and continue to get you ready for another Saturday of pigskin play.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now, because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Streaming now, only on Peacock. Fall in love with Pete Davidson and Kaylee Cuoco and Meet Cute.
You ever had a night like this ever in your entire life?
A new Peacock original film about the perfect first date.
Cheers, mate.
That was kind of weird.
Oh, not really.
Or was it?
I've spent the entire week with you. This night, 7 times in a row.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
I'm from the future. Do you think I'm crazy?
Yeah, but it's really cute.
Meet Cute, streaming now, only on Peacock.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see ya in a Kia. Go Bulldogs!
The 2 words we live by. The coach we follow.
All right, blow the horn. Let's go.
The famous call we love to hear.
Touchdown, Alabama!
It's good to be a Bama fan. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide kick off conference play against Vanderbilt. Our coverage begins at 3:30 on your home for Alabama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is an Alabama legacy moment. Former basketball player and Hall of Famer Charles Barkley is one of Alabama's most recognizable sports stars. Nicknamed the Round Mound of Rebound and Sir Charles, the Leeds native had a remarkable basketball career with the Auburn University Tigers before embarking on a career in the NBA. Barkley also played for the U.S. Olympic basketball team in the 1992 and 1996 Summer Games. Since his retirement in 2000, Barkley has carved out a niche as a basketball analyst, author, and commentator on political and social issues. Since 2001, Auburn University, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Phoenix Suns have retired Barkley's number 34 jersey. In 2006, Barkley was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Sponsored by the Alabama Bicentennial Commission, the ABA, and this station.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Saturday, expect a mostly to partly sunny sky. High temperatures expected to top out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. It will remain dry for your Saturday as well. Heading into Saturday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid 60s for the overnight. Rain returns back to the forecast on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Is sponsored by University Kia because we are here at University Kia along University Drive. And the man responsible for helping make this place be the #1 volume Kia dealer, the largest volume Kia dealer, Arthur Seaton, joining us tableside now. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a beautiful day to buy a car.
It is. And they're decked out here in the showroom. Alabama and Auburn covered here today.
Yes, we covered, and Alabama A&M as well.
Yeah, and they're on the road at FAMU. We thought you might be on your way up there. Maybe.
Yeah, I thought you're going down south to watch the Bulldogs.
No, I'm going to stay local today because we're going to celebrate our cars today. We got off to a good start already. We got 3 out, and Maurice Dobbins and team is going to do a magnificent job of selling 20-plus cars today.
Nice.
20-plus cars. How do you decide the number to sell per day?
See, it's a science, in the weather. Then you have the customer, and then you just have ESPN radio doing the advertising, and it just all come together, and we usually have a big day when y'all come.
Yeah, you got Arthur. He's coming over here. Looks like he's going to the beach in this great weather. Smelling like suntan lotion, so everybody wants to buy a car and do some traveling.
It's relaxing. It is. It's relaxing. Number one, when you come in and see the owner relax, you know it's a relaxed environment. You're gonna be able to have fun buying a car.
Arthur Seaton with us on a Saturday, and man, it's fun to be out here. It's great. Obviously, we have not seen cars in the dealership inside in quite some time because you haven't had a lot of cars. Are you able to get more? I mean, are you able to get your hands on more now?
One thing I can say about Kia is freeing up more than most manufacturers. They have their things together, so we are seeing more and more inventory, and it's freeing up for us. So if you want to buy a new car, come on down to University Kia. If we don't have it, we know we have it in the pipeline, and we'll make it easy for you to make a purchase.
One of the biggest topics in cars, and real fast, is the electric car. Kia does have some electric vehicles coming out, right?
Kia has a great lineup. Even the new E9 coming out, the EV9, and I tell you guys, it is amazing. I went to Vegas 2 weeks ago, and I got a chance to check it out, and guys, let me tell you something. It's going to take over the electric world.
Kia already gas economic friendly.
Right.
And then you throw in now an electric vehicle. Kia's winning in all categories.
And price. Our price is better than all new models.
And talk about the warranty and also your service department.
10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, still the best in the business. And our service department, guys, let me tell you something. We got a great new service manager named David Grisham. He's a local guy, been in the area for about 28 years. And
wow,
he's doing a phenomenal job of bringing in new talent as well as molding the ones we already had here. It's going to be a great thing, guys. When you come down to get your oil change today, University Kia will give you a free car wash with every oil change today if you say mention ESPN Radio.
Free car washes.
Yeah, my car is brown. It's really white and it looks brown.
On the spot does an amazing job. They come in, they do an amazing job cleaning. So guys, you come on down, mention ESPN Radio, and we'll give you a free car wash with your oil change.
And I got to ask you too, because I know he's going into his sophomore year. And this is also around the time I'm seeing a lot of it on Twitter and fall baseball getting underway. Talk about Avery and the expectations for this year. And I know he had a good freshman year at A&M.
Yeah, right now he looks like he's the number one guy. He's got his velo up some. I'm so proud of him. His work all summer long hard. Looking forward to see what the progress is going to be after his hard work, trying to be the leader. Now, instead of coming in as a freshman, he's one of the captains this year and leading these guys, and I'm so proud of him. Talked to the coach actually today, and he was talking to Coach Elliott. He's doing a phenomenal job of building a program, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Alabama A&M baseball goes.
All right, well,
sounds good.
Arthur, enjoy the Saturday. I don't want to hold you up because, I mean, when is the birthday barbecue? I know
Man, we are going to party all day at University Kia selling cars. My birthday gift is everybody come out and buy a car for me today. That's the best birthday gift ever.
Well, talk about that once again, that promotion you're running today, a free car wash for everybody.
Guys, if you come in and get your oil change at University Kia and mention ESPN Radio, you get a free car wash with your oil change.
All right, Arthur, thanks for joining us,
today, man.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, man.
Arthur Seaton with us real fast, and he's ready to have a good time. Now, will the Florida Gators have a good time today in Knoxville inside Neyland Stadium?
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a big one for Billy Napier. It would certainly be his first, or I got to backtrack. Second. Because, I mean, the Utah win was a big one. They were an underdog, the Pac-12 favorite, but they did not play well in a favorite's role against Kentucky, and they barely escape against South Florida. So, honestly, we don't really know the real Gators. Who are the real Gators? And we don't know that yet. We'll find out a lot today about them going on the road against Tennessee. And does Florida still have the hex over the Vols? We don't know. It's been a really interesting series that Florida has dominated lately, but right now all of the marbles seem to be in the Tennessee basket. I mean, Tennessee is a healthier team. Tennessee is a better team at the quarterback position. Now Tennessee, does have a big injury though to Cedric Tillman, but I still think they've got more depth offensively. We already talked about, their running back room being healthier. Hopefully, Jabari Small being ready to roll today. And they've got some more depth at the running back position. So we'll see. But it's going to be interesting to find out if Tennessee can take control of this series today and get this big win. And I think if they did, as I've said during the week, it would be Josh Heupel, the biggest win in his tenure as coach of the Tennessee Vols.
That's where I was going to go. Tennessee traveled to Pitt, and the questions were surrounding the Tennessee program was, these were the games a few years ago they were not winning. They if they needed to take that next step, they had to beat a Pittsburgh program on the road. They did that. They answered that bell. If they come up short against Florida, are we back to saying, well, this is the same program. Josh Heupel still has a lot of work to do, and, when will it be? I guess it's just meant to be that they can't beat Florida. If they come up short, ultimately, what does it say about Tennessee? And from a Florida perspective, Billy Napier's very first game was an electrifying game. The atmosphere was phenomenal inside Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. They beat Utah, a nationally ranked top 10 Utah team. They win that game. The expectation was Billy Napier is going to do this faster than we thought. He was going to get this turned around. Kentucky comes down. They knock Florida in the mouth. And now all of a sudden Anthony Richardson has problems, whatever. The narrative around both of these programs, if they come up short, is amazing. Not if they win, but if they come up short.
Yeah, but I think everybody understands with Billy here, this is not a utopia that he took over. All right? Florida, Dan Mullen got fired for a reason. The recruiting had not been good. This roster had not been good. Now, what you'll realize is there was too much put on Anthony Richardson. What I mean by that is people saying he's a Heisman Trophy candidate, he can carry this team by himself. It's just not the case. You realize that he's a little bit limited as a passer, okay? Right. Now, with Tennessee, they came in with high expectations because they, overachieved last year and had a guy like Hendon Hooker who put up unbelievable stats and who was coming back and who came back for his COVID year and is supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. But but I will say it was tempered somewhat though because you struggled so much defensively. But so far, you got the win at Pitt, and I think getting the win at Pitt was huge because that proved it was almost a carbon copy, but a reversal of what happened a year ago when Tennessee jumped out on top. Pitt comes back. Pitt wins the game, in a shootout. This time it's the exact opposite. Pitt comes out, jumps on Tennessee, gets up 17-7. Hendon Hooker brings them back, and then they find a way to win in overtime. So it's a measuring stick game for both programs, but more for Billy, is this a complete rebuild, or do you have a chance to have a solid first season, win 8 games, win 9 games? And with Tennessee, are you still, like I was predicting, a 7-5 team, which is still a bowl team, but still kind of middle of the pack, or are you making a jump to challenge in the SEC East and make a run at that number 2 spot? Because I ain't saying number 1 because I still think Georgia's the best team. But, is it going to be a situation where are you in Kentucky battling it out truly for number 2 in the East?
Number 2 in the East. Does Kentucky or Tennessee have a shot to be number 1 in
the
East?
No, I don't think either one of them will beat Georgia. That would be the most shocking thing to me if Georgia's not in Atlanta, because I just think the East is so much weaker than the West, and I just really, to me that would be one of the biggest shocks ever if the Florida Gators, or Tennessee beat Georgia. That would be one of the biggest upsets, even bigger than if Arkansas knocked off Alabama, or if certainly. If Tennessee even knocked off Alabama, something like that. Georgia not being in Atlanta would be the biggest upset, I think. I think Alabama's the best team in the West, but the West has some good football teams.
Is that gap closer on the West than it is on the East?
Yeah, I think it is.
Alabama's gap?
Because I think Arkansas is a pretty good football team.
Right.
Without a doubt, I think Ole Miss has looked better than I thought they would, though we still don't know truly how good they are, but they have looked good, no question about it. Texas A&M has been the biggest disappointment, but is anyone shocked by that?
But if they win today, though, is that disappointment changed?
Not really. They lost to Appalachian.
Yeah, they just didn't lose.
They got dominated.
Yes.
Even if it was 17-14, they got they got absolutely just destroyed in the trenches. And so let's see if they're man enough to take on Arkansas today and are interested in playing, because they've looked disinterested so far. They did not look good in against Sam Houston State. They did not look good against Appalachian. And then they were able to get through the Miami game. Miami's a pretty good football team, but it wasn't a pretty game. Let's see if Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks challenge their manhood, if they can stand up and play.
All right, 10:41 on a Saturday morning. We're live from University Kia, largest volume Kia, number 1 Kia dealer, biggest Kia dealer. They're the everything Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Let's get that break in. When we come back, we'll continue the college football conversation on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half for a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/take-it-to-the-house or crimsontide.com/take-it-to-the-house. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit ALAMHA.org.
Streaming now, only on Peacock. Fall in love with Pete Davidson and Kaylee Cuoco and Meet Cute.
You ever had a night like this ever in your entire life?
A new Peacock original film about the perfect first date.
Cheers, mate.
That was kind of weird.
Oh, not really.
Or was it?
I've spent the entire week with you. This night, 7 times in a row.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
I'm from the future. Do you think I'm crazy?
Yeah, but it's really cute.
Meet Cute, streaming now, only on Peacock.
Seems our little town isn't so little anymore. It seems like every time you go somewhere, you see a new neighborhood or business. That's exactly why the Huntsville-Madison County Builders Association is proud to be selected as the host site for the OSHA Training Institute Education Center. Employees, employers, and supervisors, public and private, can train with the experts. Keep training, keep certified, keep safe. To sign up for classes, visit hmcba.org. That's hmcba.org.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Saturday, expect a mostly to partly sunny sky. High temperatures expected to top out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. It will remain dry for your Saturday as well. Heading into Saturday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid 60s for the overnight. Rain returns back to the forecast on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you live from University Kia along University Drive, 256-576-4977. That's how you can join the program this morning. And we talked about Cedric Tillman being out for Tennessee in that Vols Tennessee game today. Florida possibly could be without Ventrell Miller as well. He's going to be a game-time decision. There's optimism, though, that he will play today, but it's going to be evaluated during warm-ups. He missed last week's game against South Florida. So Ventrell Miller could be out today for that Vols or for the Gators defense.
Yeah, that would be a big loss for Florida, and that would kind of even things out with Cedric Tillman being out. Ventrell Miller, a big part of their defense at the linebacker spot, a veteran, a guy that's a future NFL player. So, and Florida needs all hands on deck anyway. Not having him last week was a huge factor, I think, in how they played against South Florida. They did not play well at all. They really struggled stopping the run. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Gator defense plays today, because they're going to have their best game of the season, even better than Utah. Utah is not as explosive offensively, in my opinion, as this Tennessee team. Hendon Hooker is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Even without Cedric Tillman, I think Tennessee, the one difference is they've got enough depth, at the wide receiver spot, especially with the addition of Brew McCoy. I think Brew McCoy is going to be much more heavily involved than he was last week, Scott. So it's going to be really interesting to see the attack when we see Florida take on certainly the Tennessee Vols later today.
All right, we're about 10 minutes away from getting the day's first set of games underway. Around the SEC, your 11 a.m. kickoffs, you have 3 of them to choose from. You got top-ranked Georgia hosting Kent State, and, of course, Auburn, Missouri. We've talked about that one plenty. But then Mike Leach and Bowling Green, they're going to get underway at 11 a.m. on the SEC Network, Drew. And Mike Leach on his radio show this week, being Mike Leach, the only way Mike Leach can be, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, was that Texas spent $280,000 reportedly in the recruitment of Arch Manning. And on his radio show Thursday night, Mike Leach said he's skeptical that Texas spent $280,000 on a recruiting visit for Arch Manning and 8 other recruits. In Mike Leach's words, he said, "I would love to just have a quick 1-hour course on how you spend $280,000 in 48 hours.
Well, they say everything's bigger in Texas. So they've certainly, both Texas and Texas A&M have been spending a lot on NIL. I don't think it's an NIL situation with Arch Manning, but certainly I'm sure they rolled out the red carpet because he's one of the best players in the country. On3 has him ranked as the number 1 player in America. So he's the kind of the centerpiece of that recruiting class for Steve Sarkisian. They certainly didn't get Jalen Hale from Longview, Texas, but they got Jonte Cook. They got most of their commitments after Arch Manning went public to the Longhorns, and that's why they have one of the nation's top recruiting classes, and many people think at worst case scenario it's going to be a top 5 group nationally. So Arch Manning is a big part of that, so I'm sure Texas didn't spare any expense when it came to his recruitment.
All right, so those are your 11 a.m. kicks. Your 2:30 kick, obviously, 11th ranked Tennessee, 20th ranked Florida. At 3 o'clock, you're going to get 16th ranked Ole Miss welcoming Tulsa. Ole Miss standing right now 21-point favorite in that one. Kentucky is going to take on Northern Illinois. 8th ranked Kentucky, will host Northern Illinois. And then at 6 o'clock, Drew, we get the game. 23rd ranked Texas A&M, 10th ranked Arkansas inside Jerry's World. And I know you are pulling hard for Sam Pittman and company in this one. This one here has the makings. We talked about how big and at a crossroads maybe Tennessee and Florida are right now. Tennessee needs this game to really solidify the stamp that they are a contender for the top 3 spots there in the East. Texas A&M looked dreadful against Appalachian State. They did get a win against Miami, as ugly as it may have been. They did get a win against Miami. If Arkansas wins this game, Sam Pittman and company obviously would look like the second best team in the West. They have Alabama coming up. Hard not to look past Texas A&M if you're Arkansas because of that Alabama game. How do you see this one going? What's the honest, true direction? Is it a close one? It's a Texas A&M 2-point favorite game still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised by that, but obviously I think it'll be the second start for Max, Johnson behind center for A&M. He was not great in the first game, only 10 of 20 for 140 yards, but he did not turn the football over. He protected the ball, and I guess that's what they're counting on. And I would think they would think that A-Chain would be able to get going in the run. Plus, they may have Evan Stewart back. They had the 4 freshmen who probably make more than half the assistant coaches in NIL money that decided they wanted to go to a party and miss curfew instead of getting ready to play against Miami in a big out-of-conference game because there's no discipline in the Dirt Next program. So, but they still found a way to win that game. If they have these guys back, it looks like they will. That will give Texas A&M more weapons at their disposal, and these games have been close. This series has traditionally been a game that goes down to the fourth quarter, the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, and so
because it's a neutral site game,
it's at Jerry World,
a little different.
They're obviously thinking that Texas A&M is going to have their best effort of the season, and that's what it's going to take for A&M to win this game. They're going to have to put together their best 60 minutes of the season. Sam Pittman's group has played a very difficult schedule thus far. They're still undefeated. They didn't play their best football in that 38-27 win over Missouri State last week. But again, they've got to get some things fixed in the secondary. But this A&M passing game has not looked good, so that may play into their hands. And I still think it's a line of scrimmage game. In other words, Pittman's team is going to try to run the football, run it right at you, and stop the run. And if Drew Sanders and that pass rush, which has been very good thus far, if they can get after Max Johnson, he's not a great athlete, he's not a runner, then I like the Hogs' chances in this game. And I certainly would lay the points and I would take the points, I would take the points and take the Razorback.
The number one passer in all of college football at 20-plus yards or more when it comes to completion percentage, K.J. Jefferson from Arkansas. That's how good of a quarterback K.J. Jefferson has been for the Hogs this season. All right, coming up at 6:30 right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, it is the SEC opener for the second-ranked team in the country, Alabama. They are at Bryant-Denny Stadium. You will be there for this one at 6:30 tonight. It's the SEC opener for Alabama. Some Alabama fans frustrated at the play calling and the offensive look so far this season. It's a different-looking Alabama team. We've said it. All right, let's start breaking down this Alabama-Vanderbilt contest, 6:30. All right, here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. What do we expect from the Tide? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, I think they're going to run the football. I expect to see, Jahmyr Gibbs touch it. I expect to see Chase McClellan touch the football. Certainly, Bryce Young's going to get his opportunities, and he only threw 18 passes last week. I would still expect to see 25 to 30 passes today, but I think Alabama's going to try to use some tempo, probably go fast a little bit, get into a rhythm. But I think they're going to use this offensive line. I think they're going to use this deep backfield. I think we'll see, 4 to 5 running backs in the game. I think we'll definitely see, as we said, Gibbs and Jace McClellan get their touches. Roydell Williams will see some action. Wouldn't surprise me if we see, Trey Sanders, and then at the end, the hammer, Jamarian Miller. So I think Alabama's going to get these backs heavily involved and try to dominate the line of scrimmage and continue to get this offensive line to gel. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tyler Booker get his first career start at left guard. And if he doesn't, if they do go, with Javian Cohen, I still think Booker will rotate in and get a lot of snaps. And I wouldn't be surprised if we still see a lot of 2 tight ends with Kendall Randolph in that 85 jersey, and then you'll see Cam Latou. I thought Latou's performance, the 3 catches for 51 yards, was huge last week, and that 38-yard catch, Alabama's most explosive offensive play. He's getting back into this lineup, and I expect to see balance from Alabama. I expect to see a good performance, and I think they're going to wear down this Vanderbilt defense.
And you mentioned you thought Bryce Young would throw about 25 times. Percentage-wise, how many shots do they take downfield? If he throws 25 passes, are those short passes? Are they quick slant passes? Or are those deep shots to try to open up a little bit of this Alabama offense?
It's going to be interesting. I really think, I think Alabama will take some shots, but I still think they're just going to run their offense. That if you run the football, I still think, and you make the safeties come up and have to come up into the box, I still think that Alabama, those deep shots will finally connect. I don't think that should be something that everybody's so worried about.
Right.
I think it's just one of those things. It's just the natural progression. I think eventually Jermaine Burton and Bryce are going to hook up, and whether it be him or whether it be Trayshawn Holden. And besides, Alabama and Trayshawn Holden had a 33-yard touchdown catch last week. So I think the deep shot stuff is being overblown. It's just everybody's been so used to it since 2017 because of the big play receivers they've had.
Right.
It's a different style of offense, and I think people need to understand that. This team is going to be built around the offensive line, built around these running backs, and then it's going to give these receivers a chance to get more and more comfortable because so many of them are in new roles. And I just think that Bryce will spread the ball around. That's what he needs to do, distribute it like a point guard. And I still think that Alabama's going to play well today, and we'll see if the deep shots start connecting this afternoon, or tonight, I should say, inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. But that should be on the back burner. What you should be looking for is for Alabama to run the football well, to control the clock, to control the tempo of the game, and to, for this defense that I don't think is getting enough credit early to shut Vanderbilt down and hopefully start forcing more turnovers.
All right, that is our halftime whistle. We got one more hour to go here of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We've talked Alabama offense, what to expect from them against Vanderbilt. When we come back, we'll crank up the Alabama defense. What did the Tide have to do to stop the Commodores inside Bryant-Denny Stadium? Again, that game, 6:30 kick right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Download the app today so you can have the power of Alabama football in the palm of your hands. We're live from University Kia to kick off Hour 2, coming up next.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. .97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, live from University Kia. And it has been a fantastic Saturday so far. The weather could not be any better for us to be out here. Could not be any better for you to buy a vehicle from the largest volume, best Kia dealership, the number one Kia dealership in the state of Alabama for a decade. That's why we said you might as well just put number one all by University Kia, because they have been that way for the past decade. We've talked a lot about all of these college football games, getting you ready for everything. We told you Alabama 6:30 kick right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Make sure you download the app so you have it today. Of course, the 2:30 CBS game, we don't get to say that too much longer, and we only have another year left on that. The CBS 2:30 game, that is Tennessee and Florida. We've talked a lot about it from the Tennessee perspective. What about the Florida perspective? What if Billy Napier and company go up there? And I'm saying this, Drew, because everybody seems to be putting all of the chips in the center for Tennessee to win this game. What happens? Let's just play it out. What happens if Florida continues their dominance in the series and Billy Napier goes on the road today and Florida plays as well as they played against Utah and Anthony Richardson throws his first touchdown pass of the season and Florida goes into Neyland Stadium and finds a way to get a win? What happens?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that would be huge for Billy Napier in so many ways. I think it would be even bigger than the Utah win because, again, it would even their SEC record. It would put the loss to Kentucky in the rearview and give them a lot of recruiting momentum. and we are going to talk about that next with our first guest of the show, as he's going to join us. He does a great job with his daily radio program on WFOY, and it's called The Blitz. I've been honored to be a part of that show. Also, his daily podcast, The Gator Blitz and the Gridiron Growl. He's covered Florida for a long time, one of the best sources there is, and it's Mark McLeod, and he's joining us right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline here live at University Kia. Mark, good morning. How are you?
All right, so we'll get Mark here. While we do that, let's get to Shane real fast on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Shane.
Let's go, Shane. What's up, man?
Okay. All right, so we're going to get Mark here in just a little bit, but still, though, I mean,
yep.
If Billy Napier pulls this off, I mean, should we be surprised? Because we've seen Florida play at a high level. We've seen it against Utah. Or maybe just Kentucky is that good. Maybe Kentucky is just a really good program, and
well, right now I think they're better than Florida. We saw that because they didn't play clean and they won the game 26-16.
Right.
But what this is going to be a measuring stick today for is, one, how far has Tennessee come in year 2 under Josh Heupel, and 2, what kind of rebuild does Billy Napier have? Is this going to be a quick fix where he can bring in a recruiting class next year and some portal guys, and they're going to be in the top 2 to 3 teams in the SEC East, or is this going to be going to take a couple of more years? We're going to find out how far the Gators need to go today inside Neyland Stadium against Tennessee.
And Mark McLeod is now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and Mark, we've been talking a lot about it. I mean, what if Billy Napier? I mean, they're not supposed to because everything says that Tennessee's going to win this one today. What if Billy Napier and company go up to Neyland Stadium and win this one?
Oh, that would be a big one. That would be really big, guys. Always good to be on with you. Yeah, and you know, the thing is, really nobody in Gainesville expects this to happen. I mean, sure, the Gator fan that has the foam finger #1 hanging in his room believes Florida's going to win this game, but outside of that, most Florida fans believe that Tennessee's going to win this game, and that this is just going to be a long process. And much like Drew just described perfectly, look, Florida's got to go recruit. Florida's got to be more active in the transfer portal. Billy Napier wanted that last spring, but he got some things accomplished in the transfer portal, but I don't think he went as deep as he really wanted.
And Mark, we're talking to Mark McLeod, of course, from WFOY, the daily radio program, The Blitz, each and every afternoon, Monday through Friday, and also his Gridiron Growl podcast, and also the Gator Blitz podcast. And he's joining us now at University Kia on University Drive on this football Saturday. What have we learned about Florida, though? I mean, we were really impressed with their win over Utah, the Pac-12 favorite, but then there was some, a kind of a wake-up call performance, a sobering one against Kentucky in the Swamp, and then the even more alarming one where they got handled in the trenches for most of that game against South Florida last week, Mark.
Yeah, and I think what we've learned about Florida, there's certainly some good things that are happening in Gainesville, but overall, just what you said, they've got to go recruit. It's personnel driven, and this is a line of scrimmage game. Florida, I think, has pretty good starters top to bottom. And you look at the first 2 games, and they were very physical against Utah. Very physical. That was not a finesse Florida team, which we saw a bit of, quite a bit of under Dan Mullen. But they were physical against Kentucky too. Last week they were not. They were lost. They were lost, and I really don't think that they wanted to be finesse, or I don't think that was the case at all. I just think they were a lost football team defensively without Vernell Brown or Ventrell Miller out there with them, and certainly offensively, when Anthony Richardson is struggling so much in the passing game. I think Florida ran the ball effectively at times, and then I think other times USF just kind of loaded the box or brought someone up, a linebacker, or cheated a linebacker or safety up, and they were able to do what they needed to do with the run game.
We were talking about it a little bit ago. Mark, how shocked are you that Anthony Richardson does not have a touchdown pass this season?
Very shocked. Very. Look, they played USF. I went back and I watched so I could get some stuff on USF. I write two columns for the Gator Collective, and I'm telling you, watching USF secondary against BYU, those guys were running open all day long, and we sat in the press box and watched guys get separation. But he is just not making the accurate throws. Even Billy Napier even said, guys, that he was proud of Anthony's decision making, but he didn't either make the right throw or he didn't make an accurate throw. And those were big problems and have been big problems for Richardson. And as far as the receiving corps at Florida, it is not an elite group by any stretch of the imagination, but they're a pretty good group. And I think that's it. I don't even know if I can call them a good group, but I think they're a pretty good group. And there's a lot of work to be done there, that's for sure.
Well, and that begs the other question. When will Jack Miller be back? And if he is he going to get a shot to be the Gator quarterback? And in quarterback play, being able to distribute the ball and be balanced, because this Gator running game has been pretty solid thus far, but they just haven't had balance. When might he be back into the equation and be able to maybe help Florida from a quarterback perspective?
Well, it's interesting, Drew, because before the season began, right, not too long after Miller's injury, we were told the Tennessee game might be about when you would expect Miller to be ready. But it doesn't appear to be the case this week. Jalen Kitna is the number 2 for the Gators right now, and by all accounts, Jalen Kitna, I have a source who told me he's looked really good at practice. So, of course, Kitna, he comes from NFL bloodline with his dad.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're saying that this kid is pretty good. He's just very young, obviously has no experience. But, in this day and age of college football with the transfer portal so active and guys jumping around left to right, who's to know if you throw anybody in there? Maybe you'll have a Kyle Trask moment where when Felipe Franks was injured, Kyle Trask finally got his chance after Dan Mullen told us time and time again that he's not ready, and he went in the Kentucky game and he never lost the job.
Ventrell Miller, your thoughts or your expectations? Do we see him play today?
I think you do. I think they try anyway. The word is that he's going to try to go. The key, Scott, with that is, look, Florida's got Amari Burney, who's been there 6 years at the other linebacker spot. But Burney is not that guy. He's not the guy that knows where everybody on the defense is supposed to be and can get everybody set and do what they need to do. That is Ventrell Miller. And behind Ventrell Miller and Amari Burney, you've got Shamar James from Mobile that you guys know as a true freshman. He's really your number 3 linebacker right now. Your number 4 linebackers from Birmingham, Scooby Williams. And then, of course, we have Wingo, who's a 5-star kid coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, but just hasn't lived up to the billing yet. The light hasn't fully come on, and he is really Florida's 4th linebacker there. So you've got inexperience playing behind Miller and Burney, but in terms of the between the ears, in terms of the guy who knows where everybody's supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, he can look across. He's watched the film. He knows what may be coming. That's Ventrell Miller. So Florida missing him last week was huge.
And I know I guess the $64,000 question mark is what kind of game plan Billy Napier puts together for the Gators offensively. They've been limited at throwing the football, and the biggest thing is the mistakes in the red zone have killed Florida with Anthony Richardson. How do you expect Florida to attack Tennessee? I was saying today I thought that they would try to run the football and shorten the game, and give Richardson some opportunities, but they would have to be simple reads and hope maybe RPOs, things of that nature. How do you expect Florida to attack Tennessee?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what I wrote in my piece, my preview piece, is they got to run the football. They've got to run the football. I think the other thing they need to do is they need to look back a year at the success Dan Mullen had with his offense, with Emory Jones. And then look, guys, we all can agree that Florida offense was limited under Emory Jones. So it's the same thing now. So, you've got a quarterback a year ago that they had a lot of success against Tennessee that struggled throughout his career in the passing game, and you have the same thing now. The difference is, I think Billy Napier, according to what he's told us, is very pleased with the decision making of Richardson, whereas Mullen was. There were times when Mullen wasn't probably so pleased with the decision making of Jones, and he turned the ball over a bit. So I think that's the difference. But I think you got to go back to that game plan they had last year when they ran a lot of off-balance stuff that really helped the quarterback figure out what was going on and what the Tennessee defense was about to do. That could help Anthony Richardson.
Well, I mean, does Florida have it? I mean, obviously they have it in them because they're going to go and they're going to compete. They've owned this series. But, I mean, is this one of those days where Florida has the ability to put it all together against a Tennessee defense that's improved, but still we don't know how improved?
Yeah. And the key really, as we're talking about the Florida offense, Richardson's got to run the ball.
Yes.
He was reluctant to run the ball against Kentucky, and that hurt him, in my opinion. And I think that there were times against USF where he didn't run the ball, and that hurt him. Now, the difference between Kentucky and USF is Kentucky really did a really nice job, and you'd expect that from Mark Stoops, spying him out and keeping him under control. USF, I don't think did as good a job of that. They just don't have the personnel. But that's going to be a very interesting take today because I think that Florida's going to win this game. Richardson's going to have to run the ball 8 or 10 times. I just really believe that in my heart of hearts that's got to be a big part of the Florida game.
Well, and so far with what I've seen of Florida, I like Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, and Naquan Wright. I think they've got a nice three-headed monster there at running back, Mark.
I do too. What I would like to see, Drew, is they keep starting Wright. I would like to see him start Johnson or Etienne. I think Etienne's a home run threat every time he touches a football. Johnson is he's just good. He's just good. I mean, he can take it too. We've seen him break a couple long runs. Doesn't have the speed that Etienne does, but I think those two are your top backs. And then I think, just as you said, Wright is a really good third option for Florida. But the coaching staff wants to start Wright. I don't know if that, and I don't know why that would help with pass protection. He's a much smaller guy than the other two, but and you would think Johnson knows that offense from playing in it last year with Louisiana. But for whatever reason, Wright is getting the start, and I would like to see the carries balance a little more toward Johnson and Etienne.
And you already mentioned Ventrell Miller and his impact. If he's back today, the Gator defense, I didn't really think they were the issue against Kentucky. I just thought that the key turnovers and the lack of a passing game, and really, as you said, Richardson being contained via the run by Stoops was huge. How big a difference, though, can he make if he's healthy for this Gator defense?
Well, again, he can certainly make a difference in setting the defense. But, the key in this game defensively, obviously, is going to be Josh Heupel's tempo. I mean, they're going to run a play every 18 to 21 seconds, and Florida isn't going to have time to be messing around trying to figure out who's where for very long. So they need that experience. They need Ventrell Miller out there to help get them set and to give them some insight into what's happening right there on the field. Because, it showed last week just how dysfunctional they were with him out of the lineup. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something when you're going against an up-tempo offense that's going to move the ball and try to snap the ball as fast as they are, it's going to be a problem.
That performance against South Florida, can we look at that one as a case of coming off a Kentucky loss, looking ahead to a Tennessee game where it was probably one of the toughest games that you're going to have to play because you got to pick yourself up and not at the same time, too, not look ahead to a potential showdown with Tennessee?
I think there might be a little bit of that, but I'll be honest with you, Scott. I think it exposed some things, and really, didn't it expose things that we've been talking about since last spring? With Florida, the questions that we had about the Gators. I really think it exposed some areas, and Florida now is going to move Desmond Watson, the big 6'5", 420-pounder, 430-pounder, up to the nose, and they're going to give him the start on the nose today. that I think is an interesting move for Florida too. But I think it speaks to outside of Jervon Dexter, who is really terrific at defensive tackle. He's an all SEC type guy. But outside of that, guys, they're just, again, personnel driven. Florida's got to go recruit, and I think we're seeing in what we saw last week, what we saw against Kentucky, were some issues with roster management and development, because Dan Mullen and his staff, quite frankly, didn't recruit as well as they needed to.
There's no doubt about that. And finally, Mark, the Gator secondary in their play is going to be key today. You can't get misaligned. You can't miss assignments. Even without Tillman, it looks like this passing attack for Tennessee has been really good. Now, the Vols have only played one good team in Pittsburgh, but as we know, Tennessee is very talented at the quarterback position. They have a lot of good players still at the wide receiver spot, even without Tillman. Like last week, we saw, Jalen Hyatt had a huge game and 2 touchdowns, 160-plus yards receiving. They've got Brew McCoy, so they've still got weapons. They've got Jabari Small. They've got some depth at the running back spot this year. So being assignment sound is going to be, I think, the biggest key for the Gators defensively today.
I think you're right. And look, it all centers around Hooker. He has been fabulous.
Yes.
I watched that kid. I remember that kid when he was a freshman at Virginia Tech. And I'm telling you, the thing I watched when I went back and looked at the Pitt tape, Drew, was how when Pitt did a nice job in coverage, how he would just dance around left, right, and next thing you know, he's going up the middle and he's picking up first down or more. And that is something that Florida's going to have to key on. And if they don't have Ventrell Miller, wow, that becomes it's going to be a weapon in itself, but that becomes a much better, bigger part of this game. As you said about Hyatt had 11 catches against Pitt. 11.
Yeah.
And
nice.
that guy's awfully good. They line him up in the slot. They can go wide with him. Tillman's going to be out probably. Jimmy Callaway's certainly going to be out for fighting in that Akron game. He'll be out for the first half. And you mentioned Brew McCoy. I think they're waiting for Brew McCoy to really put it together, the Southern Cal transfer. I mean, he's a big kid, 6'3", 220. I think that he's shown a little flash here or there, but I think he's going to be big. And then I wonder, if with Tillman out, I guess Keaton will be the other receiver. He had a 57-yard touchdown catch last week for him. So, Florida. I think Florida's secondary, though, guys, I think the Florida secondary is certainly better than it was a year ago, and probably better than it's been the past 2 or 3 years, because the safety play overall has been better. Now, I'm not sold on Trey Dean. I think there's issues with Trey Dean still, but outside of that, Florida has 2 other safeties who I think are playing some really good football.
So is it Gator tears or Gator cheers after this one's all said and done?
Look, until they do it on the field, I think it's gonna be Gator tears. But it's Knoxville, it's Florida, Tennessee. Yeah. Anything could happen. But
that is the craziest thing.
It's gonna be tough on the road.
It really will. And if the Gators get it done, Mark, real quickly, what must happen?
Richardson must play the game of his life, and defensively, they've got to have Ventrell Miller in there for a sizable portion of the game. Or, they did some incredible coaching in getting those young guys like James and company ready to go. James and Scooby Williams and company much more acclimated and ready for what's happening today.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, we thank you. You're always so generous with your time, especially on a football Saturday. Enjoy the ball game in Neyland Stadium. Later, this will be this afternoon, 2:30 on CBS. And let everybody know about your daily radio program and also your podcast and your Gator Collective.
Yeah, I write for the Gator Collective. I also as Drew said, the daily show on 1021news.com at 4 o'clock Eastern. And certainly the Gator Blitz podcast. So we'll have a lot of stuff coming up this week on that.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure to be on with you.
All right, so they are tearing it up offensively inside Jordan Hare
Stadium.
Stadium.
There's no passes so far.
7 minutes and 47 seconds left to go. We have no score.
and Robbie Ashford, had a little bit of success on the ground thus far.
Yeah.
But my live stats are saying no passes attempted yet for the Auburn Tigers.
Tank Bigsby only had 9 carries last week in the game against Penn State. Tank Bigsby already has 6 carries for 27 yards in the first quarter of this one against Missouri. The problem is they're not just going anywhere. Brady Cook is 0 for 1, and Robbie Ashford has yet to attempt a pass. So Missouri's had the ball, obviously, for one series. Brady Cook has looks like he either ran the ball on quarterback keepers or he's been sacked twice, because he has 2 carries for a negative 10 yards. That is for Missouri. He is, and he's had 1 pass attempt, so it's 3 and out for Missouri. Tank Bigsby 6 carries, Robbie Ashford 4 carries, and Jarquez Hunter 2 carries. So that is the Auburn offense so far in a nutshell. They may not.
I'm telling you, we might not reach 5 passes. I'm just wondering, especially if Auburn can get the lead here.
If they get the lead 7-0 and they don't have to pass,
if they can get a lead here, if they can get a 14-3 lead, 14-6 lead, I wouldn't be surprised if they just rely heavily on the run. We won't see much passing today, but Auburn running the football decently effectively so far. And trying to play keep away from Missouri.
That's all they're doing. All right, we'll keep you updated on this one. Wow. By the way, Georgia is out in front. But Kent State has gotten a field goal.
Oh, look out.
7-3.
They're flat.
The Golden Flashes.
The greatest team of all time is flat. They gave up 3 to Kent State.
That's more than South Carolina got early.
Well, they got 7. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, Mississippi State on top of Bowling Green, 14-0 in the first. All right, let's get that break in.
And we're going to talk some Vanderbilt with Chris Lee of VandySports.com is going to join us next and preview this contest tonight.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
The Trash Pandas are back and better than ever. Single game tickets for the 2022 Trash Pandas season are on sale now. This season's promotions include all new giveaway items, specialty jerseys, holiday games, and fireworks all season long. Reserve your seat now while you still can at TrashPandasBaseball.com. Let's rock it.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Hey, Dad? Cool if I change this?
They may not get each other's music, but they can both get a COVID-19 booster shot. Because the CDC recommends booster shots for people 12 years and older after completion of a primary series. Schedule an appointment as soon as you are eligible. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see ya in the Kia. Go Bulldogs!
Streaming now, only on Peacock. Fall in love with Pete Davidson and Kaylee Cuoco and Meet Cute.
Have you ever had a night like this ever in your entire life?
A new Peacock original film about the perfect first date.
Cheers, mate.
That was kind of weird.
Oh, not really.
Or was it?
I've spent the entire week with you. This night, 7 times in a row.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
I'm from the future. Do you think I'm crazy?
Yeah, but it's really cute.
Meet Cute, streaming now, only on Peacock.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
And welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, the Zone. The Auburn Tigers, courtesy of a 12-yard touchdown run from Robbie Ashford. Tigers now out in front of the Tigers. I can guarantee you the Tigers will win today. Auburn and Missouri. Auburn out in front 7-0. Georgia has tacked on a, Georgia's now up in front 9-3. They were up 7-3 when we went to break, and now ESPN says 9-3.
Looks like a safety.
So, yeah, it looks like they got another safety there. And then 14-0 Mississippi State over Bowling Green. Tonight at 6:30, 97.7 ESPN. The Zone is your place to listen to for Alabama and Vanderbilt. Second-ranked Alabama, 40.5-point favorite in this one. Vanderbilt has already gotten 3 wins on the year. It's one more than, or a half a more than what Vegas said they'd get.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Vanderbilt 3-1 under Clark Lee in year 2, shown improvement, and now they've made a change at the quarterback position. And he sparked this team from a 2-touchdown deficit to winning on the road 38-28 last week in Northern Illinois. And we're going to break it all down with one of our favorite folks. He is the publisher for the longtime website of the Rivals.com, VandySports.com, also Southeastern 14. He and Blake Lovell do a great job covering SEC football and SEC athletics, and he's been good enough to join us this afternoon here at University Kia on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Chris, how are you there on this Saturday? You're with Drew and Scott.
Excellent. Great to join you guys.
Thank you. Talk about this Vandy start, 3-1. We had talked with you in the preseason. You felt like that it was going to be key for them to start quickly, that this early part of the schedule they had would set up where they could have success. They certainly have. They didn't have the game they wanted in Nashville against Wake Forest, but they come back last week and they were a slight underdog on the road to Northern Illinois, and they get a win. They were very impressive against Hawaii, but we've seen a quarterback change early for Vanderbilt this season so far.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of elements that you'd like to have if you're where they are under Clark Lee. And I think I've said this on your shows before. Anytime Vanderbilt is in a rebuild, it's going to be really hard. And, I mean, look, Vanderbilt has been rebuilding for the most part of 60 years, but I thought the one that Clark Lee took over was worse than any I had seen, just because of a lot of things going on within the program and within the school. Last year was not pretty. It did get a little better at season's end. And I said before the season, I thought, they had a shot to win 3 of the first 4. There may not be any after that, but they've done that. They were an underdog to Northern Illinois, and they have not only won those games, they've won them all by double-digit margins, although Elon and NIU weren't very much into double digits. In fact, NIU was 10 points exactly. But point is, they didn't just win those games by a last-second field goal. They won them by bigger margins. And I think the thing that's got people excited is the quarterback change. I know Mike Wright, ironically, against Elon, he sets a school record for touchdowns accounted for. But I think they have been looking for a reason to go to A.J. Swan for a while. I think that Mike Wright's passing performance against Wake, unfortunately, was consistent with a lot of what I saw in camp. I think they knew they had to get a downfield passing attack. I think they knew they had a kid who's a pretty special talent in A.J. Swan, who reminds me a lot of Jay Cutler in a lot of ways, good and bad.
Wow.
And they made that switch after Mike kind of opened the door with the poor performance against Wake and a poor reaction on the sideline. And Swan throws 4 touchdowns. He's thrown 6 for the season and no picks. And look, the competition is going to get a lot tougher starting tonight. But he's done all you can ask, and they're 3-1, and they've got a quarterback that, I guess everything's different with the portal now. You've got to hang on for dear life to your guys. But if they can keep A.J. Swan around for a while, there's going to be some mistakes, but I think the program is going to be in pretty good hands as long as he's there.
Yeah, the competition ramps up tonight. Number 2, Alabama. It's a road game for Vanderbilt. And yes, they've gone to Hawaii. They've gone to Northern Illinois. But this is a completely different type of environment that they're going to see tonight. We've known they've made some strides. But what are you looking for in tonight to see what kind of strides they've made against which will be their best team they've faced this year by far?
Well, I'd like to see their pass defense get better. That's been awful so far. They did play much better the last, I'd say, 22, 23 minutes of the Northern Illinois game, but, that was against the backup quarterback. And it's a little different situation facing Bryce Young. So the bar of expectations isn't high. I think if they can keep the score, out of the high 40s against Alabama, I think that's probably a little bit of a moral victory. The run defense has been maybe a little better than people thought, but they haven't exactly played juggernaut rushing attacks. I think the key for them, some of it will be field position. They've got a terrific punter in Matt Hayball who can hit it 60 with ease. They've done the rugby punt a little bit, but they may have to turn him loose to let him kick them longer tonight. I think field position and just avoiding turnovers and getting some big plays with Swan, which I know Alabama's defense is really good, but I think Vandy's got a talented quarterback there, and the offense is not inept like it's been in past years. They've got Will Shepherd, who's leading the country in touchdown catches. And again, Alabama's defense is going to be better than what they faced by a mile. But I see some things in this offense where it is not the offense that struggles to get double-digit first downs in games like it has in past years. This is a better team, and I think we're going to see. Maybe we'll see a glimpse of that tonight, or maybe Alabama will just overwhelm them. But we'll wait and see. I think that's going to be interesting.
It is, and A.J. Swan and Will Shepherd, they're kind of hearkening back to the Jay Cutler, Earl Bennett days.
Yeah, that's a good comp, and Bennett burst out on the scene right away. First game I remember I was there was at Wake Forest. He caught a few balls, and was a presence. Cutler was, came on the scene as a true freshman, and Shepherd, this is his sophomore year. He had a nice little season on offense that couldn't move the ball very well. I think he's a handful for anybody to cover right now. He went 10 for 171 and 2 at NIU last week. It's not often that any receivers leading the country in touchdowns at any point, but that's where he is. They've got a pretty good combo between those guys right now.
Really does. And talk about, for our listeners, because you cover Vandy better than anyone, and you follow their recruiting very closely, and you can peel back the onion a little bit. How did A.J. Swan end up at Vandy, and talk about his background a little bit?
He was a Maryland commit this time a year ago, and they got him to decommit and pledged to them pretty quickly. I don't know exactly the circumstances there, but they had tracked him for a while. He's a Georgia kid, played at a high level, and I think turned some eyes down there. That was a big recruiting win for them. And sometimes you see these high, these four-star quarterbacks that come on campus and they just don't materialize. Maybe they're not used to playing guys that are as good or better than them, and the mental part just doesn't click. But with Swan, they got him on campus in January. He really flashed some things in the spring, looked really good in the spring game, but there were a lot of mistakes there. And I told people before the season, fans had seen the spring game and were very excited and clamoring for him to start. I said, guys, if A.J. Swan starts, two things are going to happen. You're going to be really excited about the future, and he might also lead the country in picks. Well, you notice he's not throwing a pick yet. And
right.
We asked about that. He said, when I went through fall camp, I was really pressing and probably trying to do too much because he wanted that job, and he didn't get it out of the gate. Probably wasn't going to get it out of the gate. But you would watch him in practice, and he'd throw 60-yard balls on a dime to receivers for scores. And then the next series, he wouldn't see a safety underneath, and it'd be a pretty bad pick. According to him, he has done a lot less pressing and a lot more just letting the game come to him. Now, that may have translated against Elon in Northern Illinois. Alabama's going to be a different animal. We'll see how that goes. But in his words, he said that's been the difference in me lately.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tonight, he's probably going to face some adversity, different kinds of adversity, and not trying to press to try to do too much on every throw against an Alabama defense that has the capability of making you feel like it's just going to be a long night.
Yeah, and I think what'll help, guys, and again, how much it helps, I don't know. They're a 40-point underdog for a reason. But Ray Davis has had to shoulder an awful lot of the rushing load. And they've got 3 or 4 backs who can catch passes, including him. I think they will, well, I know they will get Patrick Smith, who was their number 2 at times last year and a pretty talented player. He's back tonight, and I think they might get Rocco Griffin back as well, who's got a little bit of a burst. They're all 3 different type backs. I think when they've had to lean on Ray Davis, for a disproportionate burden of the load, I mean, they've really only been playing 2 running backs the last 3 weeks. And the other one is Chase Gillespie, who's a true freshman, who shouldn't be in that spot yet. I wonder if just having a little more depth at running back allows them to do some more things and maybe take some of the burden off Swan tonight, because certainly you do not want all the burden for making plays, or most of it, on a true freshman quarterback playing in an environment like that for the first time.
And Chris, we're talking to Chris Lee, VandySports.com, Southeastern 14 as well. How has this Vandy defense played thus far in your mind, and how do they match up with Alabama? Alabama has been a little inconsistent offensively. They lead the nation in explosive runs, but the running game has been a little bit inconsistent. The passing game hasn't provided a lot of vertical big plays, but how do you see that matchup?
Well, their defense has been disappointing. I thought they looked great against Hawaii. Hawaii is just awful. Probably a bottom 5 team in college football, and also a team playing its opener, an emotional night with a new coach. Really, since then, and they played pretty well the first half of the Elon game. From that point on, it's not been very good. Now, they did find something last week in the second half of the NIU game. They were down 28-14, and the offense scored 24 unanswered points to win the game. Well, part of that was that the defense, started playing better. I think they tightened up their coverage. The run defense has actually been fairly solid, although they've not faced anybody like Alabama. They have been disproportionately good in 4th and short situations. I don't know what the 4th down conversion percentage against them is this year, but it's not good for opponents. They've got to play better coverage. This will be obviously the best receiving core they've faced, although it's not, the bunch Alabama had 2 years ago either. I know they've had some injuries and things, but they're going to have to play much, much better, because the results the last few weeks, there's just been too many explosive plays and guys running free up the field. Their safety play is going to have to get better. I think Jeremy Lucien, who started last week for the first time, is giving them a little bit of a lift at corner. I think that'll help a little bit. I think they may have Jalen Mahoney out tonight, guys. Watch for that. He's probably their best defensive back. He plays safety. He plays some nickel. That's the thing that if Vanderbilt doesn't have Mahoney tonight, that's a real blow to Vandy, because he's a veteran. He's made some plays, and he's been even with even with his presence, the pass defense hasn't been good. So from a Vandy end, I think that's something to watch tonight.
No doubt, and there's no question. And real quick, Chris, because what you guys do is Southeastern 14, you cover the SEC. What's been your impression of the Southeastern Conference thus far through the first few weeks?
Well, I think obviously you have to start at the top, where Georgia right now is most people's number one. Has been incredibly impressive. Alabama, to me, I'm really curious about, because you heard a lot of that best team he's had stuff before the season, and I don't think they say stuff like that lightly. But I look at Alabama, I don't see the receiving room where the past ones have been. They haven't had that power running attack. But I also remember with Alabama, what was it, last time they came to Vandy? They were kind of pedestrian by Alabama standards early in the year. I think Colorado State had played them closer than people thought. Bama flip the switch and the rest is history. And they can do that. So I think that's one thing I'm watching. I think the East is really interesting. I thought that Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee race for 2 was going to be fascinating. To me, Florida's a notch behind those other programs. We'll learn a little bit more about that today. But I think that Kentucky-Tennessee race for second in the East is fascinating. Of course, at Auburn, you got the Harsin watch, and then just the rest of that league. Can Arkansas pass defend and be the second-best team in the East or the West? That's something I'm watching. Just really that whole West division. After Alabama, I thought it was fascinating before the season. I think it's equally fascinating today. I just think there's so many storylines of interest in the league this year. And by the way, another one. I think you could argue maybe with Vandy, the league might be a little better at the bottom than we thought. I mean, that they could get beat by 50 tonight. That's an awful take, but I don't think most people expected Vandy to be 3-1 at this point. The league, we thought it would be a strong year. There've been some pockets of disappointment, but so far it looks pretty good to me, and it's certainly going to be interesting.
Well, great stuff from Chris Lee, giving us great insight into A.J. Swan and to Vanderbilt tonight as they head to Bryant-Denny Stadium for a 6:30 kickoff on SEC Network. Chris, we always appreciate it. Let everybody know how to follow your coverage at Vandy Sports and, of course, what you and Blake do at Southeastern 14.
Yeah, you can follow us at vandysports.com. It's part of the Rivals Network. Most people in your listening area, of course, know that brand. I've done that for 20 years now. Southeastern 14 is the name of the website. Most of our work is on our YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, search Southeastern 14. We are putting out videos, and usually multiple videos every day. We cover football, baseball, and basketball. We have previews for every single SEC game in football this year, including this week. We will be getting into basketball very soon, and, of course, baseball is the calendar flips over. We'll have that heavily. I just think we cover it in a way that most people don't. It's a great place to get your information at a 30,000-foot level, and our channel, guys, has grown quickly. We barely existed this time a year ago, and we passed 3,000 subscribers, and have just really kept on steaming this week.
Well, we're proud for that. We're proud of what you and Blake are doing, and we enjoy it. And we thank you for taking the time to join us on this Saturday here at University Kia, and certainly enjoy the games today and the Vanderbilt-Alabama game tonight. And thank you for your insight and always for the conversation.
Yeah, always fun to join you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chris. Chris Lee with us. And Drew, the Auburn Tigers have done it. They've created their first turnover of the season. An interception that's led to a Tank Bigsby touchdown. Auburn has put 2 rushing touchdowns on the board today, up 14-0 on Missouri. Right now, just about ready to end the first quarter there. Robbie Ashford, in case you're keeping track, 2 of 2 for 17 yards. He's thrown 2 passes in the first quarter. If he keeps that up, he'll have 8 passes after the entire game, 2 for each quarter. If this keeps up.
It's efficient. And he's if he's completing them, and Auburn's got a little bit of balance, and they've run the football so far. You got him and Tank in the end zone already. Auburn rolling, and Missouri football just absolutely an abomination right now. The Vanderbilt Commodores are better than Missouri. I'll just say it.
71 yards of rushing for the Auburn Tigers right now. Tank Bigsby 37 yards, Robbie Ashford 32 yards, Jaquez Hunter 2 yards. All right. Let's get that break in. That final break. When we return, we'll let you know some of the scores from around college football.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So yeah, I used the savings from switching to Progressive 50 years ago to finally buy my dream car. It's a self-driving flying car, but we just say self-flying now. You know, because it's the future, and cars fly in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC, and here it just means more. What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That there's an honest-to-goodness chandelier in your tailgate tent? Perhaps, but it means more than that. It means pioneering medical solutions to predict new flu viruses. It means leading globally diverse teams to eliminate starvation in developing countries. And it means being home to one of the nation's top cybersecurity programs. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more.
Get your college football fix all year long on the Chuck Oliver Show. The king of college football brings you 2 hours of live and local college football talk throughout the year with the biggest experts from across the nation and exclusive interviews with the coaches and players you want to hear from. It's the college football talk you deserve on the Chuck Oliver Show.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me weekdays at noon on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Saturday, expect a mostly to partly sunny sky. High temperatures expected to top out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. It will remain dry for your Saturday as well. Heading into Saturday night, expect a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the mid 60s for the overnight. Rain returns back to the forecast on Sunday. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's pretty easy to mention your tomorrow's headlines today when you've got college football and an abundancy right now across the country. Your top 25 scoreboard looks like this. Michigan out in front of Maryland 10-3. Clemson right now having no problems. 5th-ranked Clemson with 21st-ranked Wake Forest. Clemson on the road today. The Tigers on top of this one 14-0, Drew. DJU 7 for 7, 104 yards and 2 touchdowns so far for the Clemson Tigers. Penn State 14-0 leaders over Central Michigan. 17th-ranked Baylor having their hands full right now with Iowa State. That one tied at 7. 24th-ranked Pittsburgh leading Rhode Island 14-7 in the first. Those are your top 25 scores as of right now. And then in the SEC, Georgia has hit the trifecta today.
Yeah.
They have added a touchdown, they have added a safety, and they have added a field goal. They are now leading Kent State 12-3 in the second. So that is one of your SEC scores. And then, of course, obviously, Mississippi State out of conference, taking on Bowling Green, and 17-0 there in the second. Mike Leach and company enjoying that one. But Auburn up 14-0 still on Missouri.
And that's the biggest, development right now. And you already talked about it, Auburn getting the interception early, cashing it in with Tank Bigsby. So they got that first turnover.
Of the season.
Yeah, Tank with a touchdown. Tank with 10 for 37 and that touchdown so far. Robbie Ashford, 2 of 3, 17 yards. He's also rushed for 33 and a touchdown. So Auburn up 14-0 over Elijah Drinkwitz early in the second quarter as the Missouri Tigers continue to be inept.
And Kansas is looking good. The Jayhawks are leading Duke 14-7 right now.
The combined record of these teams is 6-0, and this is not basketball. How stunning is that Duke and Kansas are undefeated? Lance Leipold, good luck, Kansas. You'll never hold on to him. Nebraska's going to probably come beating down that door. You got to believe it. He's gone from Buffalo to Kansas.
He was at Division III school before Buffalo.
I'm just telling you.
He won like 6 national championships, I think, on the Division III level. Or
yeah,
4 or 5.
Unbelievable work at Kansas so far. I mean, this is a program that just a couple years ago was giving tickets away to let people in for free.
They weren't even just giving tickets away. They just opened the door and said, if you're walking by, come on in and join.
UCLA should be doing that right now.
The most viral picture from a year ago was a lady there in Kansas, or a year and a half ago, where she was crocheting in the stands because then there was no one around her within like 200 yards of her.
And I know, and I know they're not your favorite team here, but we do in the last couple of minutes of the show want to pay homage. Though there was some history last night in baseball, Scott.
Oh, yeah. No. And Albert Pujols.
I mean 700 home runs. What a career he's had.
He wrecked Chicago. Yeah, he's wrecked pretty much everybody. So
I mean 2 bombs last night to get to 700 in his storied career. This is his final season as a major leaguer, and he's going out on a team that looks like they're going to win their division. So what a career for Albert Pujols. 700 home runs, only the 4th guy to ever do it. I mean, that's significant in baseball.
If he didn't have that plantar fasciitis, he probably would have set the overall mark by now. I mean, he would have been the pure home run machine.
In other words, past Henry Aaron for all time.
Yeah, he would have passed everything, I think, if he did not get hurt while playing out there in L.A. An interesting note, Brett McMurphy did point this out just a few minutes ago. The Texas official depth chart today for their game lists against Texas Tech lists Quinn Ewers or Hudson Card as starting quarterback. I don't know if we're reading too much into the or if that's the way
I heard
it is,
he was going to dress, but I'd be surprised if he sees action and has been recovered that quickly, even though I think it was his non-throwing shoulder where he had the clavicle situation. But that would be interesting.
All right. We are just about ready to be done here. We've been live this morning at University Kia along University Drive, getting you ready for some college football. Plenty of great high school football going on last night. Some great games all around the area. And Westminster,
139 points, pretty good.
70-69.
In regulation.
Yes, gets a win over Central Florence last night.
No, Central Florence got the win on the walk-off.
My bad. Yes, 70-69.
I mean, unbelievable. It's the second highest scoring game in AHSAA history. It tied that record. A heartbreak for Louis LeBlanc and the Westminster Christian Academy Wildcats. I mean, they trailed 34-14 at half, 54-34 in the second half. Looked like they had it won with 30 seconds to go, and then with no time on the clock, give up a 2-point conversion walk-off and lose 70-69.
New Hope survives a late 45-yard field goal miss from Decatur Heritage. Tyler Johnson gets a win yesterday.
I know you guys talked to him last night.
Yeah, that one went down to the wire. Your game did not go down to the wire. Guntersville flexed their muscle a little bit against Buckhorn. Madison Academy gets a win over Madison County last night. I mean, there was just some fantastic football played around the area last night.
Not to mention, you guys talked to Patrick Malone, and a Hail Mary wins that game.
Yeah,
from 29
Deschler
yards
wins
out.
a Hail Mary
against Colbert County, 36-33.
I mean, Who's to say that non-region games are not fun? And we could see that today in college football. These are the days when upsets happen. When we look at the schedule and we say, well, there's really nothing great going on today. It's one of those days where everybody should win handedly. These are the days where we get a few upsets.
We'll see if we do. We'll have live Alabama football tonight as they take on Vanderbilt. We'll be there at 97.7 The Zone, 6:30 against the Vanderbilt Commodores. In Tuscaloosa. So we're looking forward to that game.
Missouri's found the scoreboard, by the way.
And now it looks like Mizzou has scored, Scott, as we're about to wrap it up here. So at least Elijah Drinkwitz, team is showing some signs of life. 14-6, point pending, 9:34 in the second quarter. So the Missouri Tigers get on the board. The Auburn Tigers, though, it started quickly, and we talked about that's what they needed today, Scott. And they need this win worse than anything for Brian Harsin.
And Kent State, don't count out the mighty flashes, Drew. They've just put a touchdown on the board. It's 12-10.
Uh-oh. Peter said they're the greatest team of all time. They're the greatest team of all time. If Alabama was up on Kent State 12-10, people would be saying Saban should retire. What's wrong with Georgia? It's 12-10. And by the way, go Hogs. Go Hogs. Go Hogs. Barry Dirtneck today, man.
You're not supposed to say that on the air.
Well, I hope I hope the A&M Aggie media and fans, they might as well be this one and the same, enjoy a beatdown today because that's what they deserve.
That's going to do it from University Kia. We'll be back at it on a Monday morning.